Make sure you like, subscribe, and hit that bell icon. Hello, and welcome to Let's Sip and Talk with Freema. So it's Sunday, you guys. A lot of us don't have to work tomorrow. Yoo-hoo! That's a great thing. We got a longer weekend to do whatever it is we want to do, but be productive. And remember what I always say, be kind. It does not cost you a thing. So today we have a guest that is a high school football coach. He's a photographer and he's a scout writer. So I'm ready to talk to him and see all about this scout writing thing here. So I know y'all will be interested in that. So without further ado, let's bring on Wes. Hello, how are you today?
I'm doing well. How are you?
I am fine. Thank you so much for taking time out to come on the show today and to talk with us and let us pick your brain a little bit.
Thank you for having me.
You're more than welcome. So, Wes, tell us a little about yourself.
So, born and raised into the Air Force. Both my parents were in. My mother ended up serving 28 years, retired as an E9, Chief Master Sergeant. So I kind of grew up a little bit of everywhere. My parents split up when I was young. So back and forth in and out of like Georgia, Southern California, Texas, Arkansas, all throughout the South, even overseas. So got to move around quite a bit. My father is a photographer. So I think I picked up that habit off of him. And then now I'm coaching football, getting ready to welcome my first child in November.
Oh, wow. Congratulations.
Thank you. Excited, about to have a little boy.
Okay.
So that's, it's a different thought process, right. I guess, getting ready to have a kid and everything, but still coaching football, high school football with Littleton High School in Littleton, Colorado. And then I'm also a scout writer with Prep Red Zone Colorado, which is one of the networks for Prep Network. So one of the outlets that Prep Network covers, which they do basketball, girls basketball, boys basketball, volleyball, both boys and girls volleyball, and then football now as well. So
okay.
It's pretty fun.
I just want to ask you really quickly. Yeah. You mentioned photography. Your dad did photography. What was it that piqued your interest? Was it something that he did particularly that make you say, this is something I want to do? What made you pick that up, from your dad?
I think it was. I think it has a lot to do with, one, being able to connect with my dad on something. So football was something I got into with my dad back in Georgia during the Pee Wee days. And then him being into photography, I, always seeing him with a camera in his hand and stuff like that. And then once I started to pay attention to photography and what you can do with it. Right. So being able to, just kind of capture a moment, just a raw moment, just something that might go unnoticed, unthought about, being able to capture that in a still image and have it displayed, or just even being able to go back and look at it later. But something very raw that, you get to say like, hey, this is a moment in time that nobody else will ever think about looking at or thinking about in general, and being able to be somebody that facilitates that to a viewer. A nice little moment, something that I thought was, worthy of freezing in time, I guess you could say.
How do you, let's say, walk on the beach or, walk in the park? What pops in your head to say, what, this is, and I don't even know if you can answer that question, but this is a great, scene. I need to capture it. What happens all in here for you to know, okay, I need to capture this moment. I need to capture this scene.
Sometimes for me, because I guess for everybody it'd be different, but for me, it's just if I end up thinking about it, right? Like if I, it's very easy to walk around and just kind of not really think about what you're looking at. But I like to pay attention to my surroundings. And if something catches my attention for, 3-4 steps, not even seconds, because I'm not thinking like that. But if I find myself staring at something as I'm walking by it and I continue to look at it, well, obviously for some reason it's interesting to me.
Right.
And then it's even before I take the picture, it's what story can I tell with this picture? So just because it's interesting to me, how do I make it interesting to somebody else? What story can I tell from this one particular picture without anybody ever knowing me, knowing the area, knowing where I'm at, knowing what's going on? But can they see this picture and say, this makes me think of something, more than what I'm just looking at? So usually it's something like that. Or if it's one of those moments when Colorado is one of those places where you can walk around and you can see something that will just kind of take your breath away, just a scene, just, nature, landscape. If something like that, if I'm walking by and I'm just like, wow, I want to share that with somebody if I can. So I try to take a picture of it.
So that goes to what I was going to ask you next. I've heard the phrase, and I'm probably going to mess it up. I'm good for doing that. But a picture speaks 1,000 words. Is that right?
A picture's worth 1,000 words.
So,
same thing, probably.
Yeah, something along those lines. So I understand where that phrase came from. Before it was just like, okay, you hear it and it's la la la. But now I understand you want to be able to, people to see that picture and like you said, be able to tell a story with it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. If you think of, there's a lot of pictures, but one of the ones that really sticks in my mind is when the Ferguson riots were going on. And there's that picture of that young man with dreads that grabbed, I believe it was a tear gas canister, and he's throwing it back. But it's just the position that he's in, and he's got, something with the American flag on it. Just that picture to me meant a lot. It showed what I believe is the foundation of this country itself, is resilience, and not willing to let somebody walk all over you, and willing to fight back. But also you can see the frustration, the pain, the terror, just the background. Regardless of what your standpoint is politically or anything else, when you look at a picture like that, it's going to make you think one way or the other. It's going to make you think. It's going to make you think of some things that, might be uncomfortable. It's going to make you feel something. And those are the pictures that I strive for, be it at a wedding. If I can capture a candid shot of, even if it's just somebody in, like, that's not in the wedding, but, guests, if I can capture a shot where you can see joy, happiness, but you can see it, but you can also feel it. When you can do that with a picture, when you can have an image like that one of Ferguson that just pops in my head, regardless of what was going on, that image itself to me just stands alone. If you can see a picture and you can think of something, or it makes you feel something to where it ingrains in your mind, to me, that's more than just art. That's a service to somebody, in my opinion. Like, you're giving them something that they might not get elsewhere.
Do you think being a photographer or having that eye to, be able to tell a story from a picture, do you think that's something everyone has, or that's more like a gift or a talent, for you to be able to, look at a picture and like you're so passionate about that picture with Ferguson? Do you think everyone has that, or you think it's just certain individuals?
I think I believe it's a skill, and skills can be developed and honed. You don't necessarily have to be born with a skill. I think it's really being able to change the way you look at the world, being able to think a little different, think outside the box, just mix it up. But I definitely believe that is something that anybody can do if they really wanted to. It's not one of those, God-gifted talents, like singing or something like that, where you can train yourself to sing, but not everybody can hit certain notes. You just not capable of doing it. But I do believe everyone is capable of being able to at least learn it, learn how to take pictures, learn how to change what they look at, learn how they, use their camera differently. A lot of people will buy cameras and not know how to use them.
Right.
And then there's a lot of kids out there that have never, ever been taught how to do this stuff. And they just kind of pick up a phone, figure it out.
Yeah.
And next thing you know, they're making their own little comedy shorts on TikTok or Instagram or something like that. So I truly believe that it is something that anybody can learn how to do if they really wanted to.
Do you take your camera with you on the football field? Which I know that's probably like, no, I don't do that. But are you ever able to take pictures, during a game, or do you want to, or can't? Like, can you not do it and you want?
So that's actually a tough one. I've been thinking about it for a while because I definitely want to get our players some pictures. But for me, when I'm coaching football, it's a whole different mindset. I'm in a completely different zone. I'm locked in. It's half the time, I mean, where I sit anyway, I'm up in the booth and I have my headset on, and there's not really a downtime, to be able to take pictures. So even when I go to practice and when I'm in coach mode, I'm just a coach. But when I go out as a scout writer, I definitely take my camera with me. There are a lot of times, though, that I'm at practice and I'll see something and I'm just like, man, if I had my camera and if I was off to the side, I could get a really good shot right now. But that one in particular is a little tough. But other than that, I take my camera everywhere else I go.
Okay. Out to dinner, you take your camera? Really?
Yes.
Okay. So
yeah, it's a little weird. I try not to do the thing where I have like a gaudy camera bag with me, but if I go out, I have a smaller camera as well. I do have that one right there that's in the background, but I have a smaller camera that I might take. But if I take this one with me, I usually just sit it off to the side. I take candid shots mostly, but I'll get some nice little shots off to the side. But when it's time to eat, of course, I put it away and make sure I live in the moment. But a lot of the camera going to dinner is more of just the process of getting ready for dinner, the drive to dinner. Maybe if there's a walk, I might be able to, get some nice shots. You never know. So to me, it's better to have and not need than to need and not have. So.
Right, that's true. So, and I don't even know if you can answer this question. What is I don't want to say the weirdest, I don't want to say the strangest, like time that you just took your camera out and captured a shot? I know we said, you take it with dinner or for walk. So that's a date. You start taking things on a date, but what would you say? Like, gosh, I can't believe I pulled my camera out, and took a picture.
I'd say it's a little tough now to think of something because I started doing street photography for a while. And with street photography, I mean, it's just, if you're in the right place at the right time, you can capture some crazy stuff. But I would think probably one of the most awkward ones was when I was in Alaska, which I was in Alaska and I started photography out there back in 2011. And that was when I was carrying a camera with me everywhere and just happened to catch a bear not too far from where I was standing, which is actually quite common out there. But just standing there and you see a bear and you're in a neighborhood and it's a bear that's like came through the back of the neighborhood because they're coming down rummaging through trash and stuff, and it's just a quick and then you're like, all right, how can I get out of here without being noticed by this bear?
Well, that definitely would have been scary.
But for the most part, I think getting into street photography, man, I've seen and managed to capture some crazy shots, even some shots that I don't share or anything like that, just because I feel a little weird about it, just what's going on. Because, especially when you're in places where there's a lot of homeless and you see some things that I've wanted to document. I would say probably the one that stood out the most as far as something like that goes is when I was in Alaska and there were two homeless natives that were out there, Inuits, and managed to take a picture of the two of them. But it was a very strange situation because of the issues that go on with, a lot of displaced individuals where they're, addicted to something, and out there it's alcohol is very bad for them out there. And it was shortly after that there was an altercation between a group of homeless that was, I walked around the corner, kept going, and a group of homeless that were fighting over one particular liquor bottle. I took a picture of it and then I felt weird about that. I just felt like it was just a line crossed for me personally.
Yeah.
It's not like I work for a newspaper at the time or anything like that. So I actually deleted the picture, but it was probably, I'd say that one was the most uncomfortable because it made me feel some type of way,
Right.
not just about their situation, but about me as a person walking by with a camera,
Camera
you
taking a
know?
picture.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it helped me balance that out in a sense. So I mean, but there's a lot of instances like that where it's like, wow, this is kind of different.
Wow, that's cool. That's cool. I never really was able to pick the brain of a photographer. So that's really cool to have how you guys have the eye for certain things, the sunset, a certain time
Mhm.
to capture that beautiful picture. I know you mentioned a wedding, so I'm pretty sure you do like weddings. And do you do just regular photography as far as, and I don't know if it's called regular photography, but just taking photo shoots for individuals
Mhm.
and, designing it as far as the whole setup.
Mhm. So I actually haven't shot weddings yet.
Okay.
I just recently went to my sister got married in Delaware on the 20th of August, and so I was there, and we managed to use the venue a little bit for me to take a couple of maternity pictures of my girlfriend. But there was moments during the reception where like I kind of slid to a side and took a candid shot, but trying to stay out of the way of the actual photographers that are there. Um, so weddings are something that I'm actually planning on trying to get into. It's just I haven't worked my way into that yet. I typically do portraits, which going on a photo shoot with somebody, and posing them, finding different locations. That's usually what I do is portraits. I try to I try to do headshots as well.
Okay.
Um, little discount since I do a lot of stuff with high school kids in general, be it the scout writing or
Mhm.
coaching. I'll do senior portraits for football players or just for students in general. Anybody with a 3.0 or over automatically gets $30 off an hour of their shoot.
Wow.
So I try to do that, and I do the same thing with military. I do the military discount just because it means something to me. But
Right.
I make sure to do portraits. One of my favorite things are events. I love going to any type of event and not necessarily having to be the photographer at the event that's got to pose with people and has a
Right.
backdrop somewhere and taking pictures. um I like to take candids, so I like my hardest to freeze the little real moments, be it at
Right.
parties or graduation events, anything like that. I'm trying to cars. I love going to car shoots.
Oh, okay.
Cars are a big thing for me, so I'll go to car shoots, car meets, take pictures there. Of course, some sports photography. I shot for a youth football team out here not too long ago, so I'd say that I kind of dabble in a lot.
Yeah, sounds like that's
Most of it anyway.
awesome. That's cool. That's awesome. It seemed like it's refreshing for you, because you actually enjoy it. But it's funny because you seem so cool, calm, and collect. So I'm used to the football coaches that be fussing do you fuss? Do you or you just kind of roll with the flow? Because you don't
Uh,
seem like you get angry.
oh no, I'm a little wild. Usually that's where I can get it out though. And I make sure to hone it in a different way as well. So I'm not out there, just yelling at kids for no
Right.
reason, wilding out. But I'd like I like to try my hardest to bring as much energy as I can, change the tempo up. So depending on what day of the week it is as well. Like if we're earlier in the week, I might be a little bit more intense, a little more hot to it type, yelling and bringing a whole lot of energy. And then as the practice goes on towards the end of the day, or as we're closer to game day,
Mhm.
the wildness kind of goes away, and it
Yeah.
more of becomes like a teacher,
Right.
um somebody trying to make sure that I can mold them, get them to understand what's going on, but also making sure that that energy is still there, but in more
Mhm.
of a like, oh, we're laughing, joking, not like everything's got to be high intense. It's
Right.
that's something I picked up from the military is sometimes you go high speed, high stress, and then sometimes you go low stress, high speed, and then vice
Mhm.
versa. Just keep switching it around just to
Yeah.
see what helps the kids. But a lot of the times they respond really well to that energy. But I will say I'm kind of a wild one that on the football field I stand around looking a little angry for no reason. I even say it, sometimes I'm like, I'm angry for no reason. I don't get it. But it's
Just
typically on the field.
okay. Okay. Now, the scout writing, how does that work? What exactly is that? Do you go around and Like, what exactly is that?
So working with Prep Network, I started with them doing basketball. So I was a basketball scout writer for high school basketball. And the way I always explain it is I'm kind of like the middleman between college scouts and high school athletes. And so all I'm doing is trying to bridge the gap and make sure that as many athletes in the state that I can cover, that at least I can see or um, um, find out about, if somebody can put them on my radar and say, hey, you should look at this kid. This is what I think of them. And then I'll try to find some film on them, and then write about them and write about them in a way that lets, colleges out there say, hey, there's some potential in Colorado, be it at whatever level, from JUCO, NAIA, D3, all the way up to D1 Power 5. Like, if we can find somebody and get some of these kids to be recognized. So I started with boys basketball out here, and then we picked up prep hoops for the girls side, and I started writing for both. And then when Prep Red Zone came about, I was like, hey, that's right up my alley. That's what I coach.
Right.
That's definitely what I want to do. And so I started writing for them, and all it is just go to camps, go to tournaments, if I can watch games. So I coach, so I can't go to games as much.
Right.
But I can, watch them afterwards, stream something, watch highlights, and try to do my best to get as many names of these players as I can on our website. So hopefully a coach will come by and say, hey, you know what? I want to see what this kid from little Resurrection Christian, a 2A school, I want to see what this kid can do. Or hey, I've heard of this kid from Cherry Creek. Let me go and look at him. So it's really just kind of trying to bridge that gap, and help out with recruiting in this state.
That's nice. Okay, so it is, you said, for the state, so it is just the state of Colorado,
that I work for. We are national. So we do have a couple of teams that are playing out of state games. And then we have a team that is actually hosting an out of state game. So they'll be playing a team from Washington, I believe, is coming down. And so if I'm somewhere and there's a kid that stands out and he's from like Minnesota, I can write about him, and then I can just make sure that it's known that he's from Minnesota and what school. And we're in, I believe we're in about 40 states, give or take a few. It's been a while since I've looked at how many Prep Red Zones have popped up, but I can also tag the network for that state. So because we're national, and like, I know there's one in Arkansas. And so if I were, to see a kid out here that came for a tournament that is from like North Little Rock, I can write about him, and then I can also tag North Little Rock. So the people who are subscribed to North Little Rock's network, it will still pop up in their feed as well as the Colorado one. So we are national. Prep Network is national, and then it's just we break it down by state.
Gotcha. Okay. Now, I normally ask all the individuals that come on the show, and share their journey with us, for the little Wests out there, the little ones that inspire to be, a photographer or even a coach or a scout, but they're doubtful. They need that motivation. They need those encouraging words. What would you tell them?
Trust yourself and be honest with yourself. I think that one is actually bigger. Being honest with yourself about what it is that you want and who you are. A lot of people deal with other people trying to tell them, who they are, what they should be, what is acceptable. I think the younger generation is doing a great job at actually putting their foot down and saying, you know what, I'm going to live my life how I want to live my life. And it was weird, being a photographer, especially in the hood. You're not a photographer growing up anyway, not at that age. It wasn't something that people really like to do, but at the same time, it was one of those things that when done correctly, everybody liked the pictures. Like they look at them like, oh, these are nice pictures. And then it turns into like, all right, well, that's the photographer person. But there can be more than one. I mean, there's so many photographers out there. And so that's an avenue that you can get into. And coaching's the same way. There's a lot of players that I have met that just get the game in a different way that may not have been, or may not be the most athletic. I personally was nothing to talk about when it comes to football, like playing football. it wasn't, I moved around so much. I never got big. I mean, it was just one of those things that I did because it was cool. It was kind of fun, but it was what it was. And it wasn't until later, after high school and stuff, that I really started studying this game in just a different way. So I started to realize that some of the people I would talk to about football, it wasn't the same until I started talking to coaches. And then I'm like, oh, okay, I'm looking at this game different. And so I fall in one of those categories as those who can do, those who can't teach when it comes to football. So I teach the sport, but that doesn't mean that there's somebody out there who's good at the game that can go pretty far and wants to get into coaching. Get into coaching. Even if you're somebody who wants to get into coaching and you've never played, learn it. You can learn. It goes back to what you were asking about, can anybody have that eye for photography? Anybody can do majority of the jobs that are out there. You can learn to do them. There's very few jobs and careers that really require that just born with it talent. There's a lot of it that can be learned. Now, of course, that it's not everything, but something like coaching. I mean, if there's kids out there that want to do anything, if you want to be a video gamer, right? Like there are kids. When I was, growing up, I wanted to play video games. It's like, you're not going to make money playing video games. Well, guess what people are doing now?
Yeah,
they're making money playing video games. And so there's an avenue for it. So just be honest with yourself about who you are, about what you want, and strive for it. Don't let anybody knock you off of that. Surround yourself with those people that are kind of in the same or similar avenues that can help mentor you. Because doing it alone is tough. So try to find a mentor and be honest that you might need one, and don't shy away from it. And I just say, go for it.
Go for it. Be honest and go for it.
That's it.
Surround yourself around people that are doing something that you would want to do, or
at least similar, similar mindset. Yeah. I keep hearing stuff that kind of goes around the same ideal that, if you're trying to be financially stable, you might not want to surround yourself with people who are not financially stable, right? You might want to switch that circle. Saw something where I think it was Meek Mill, and I could be wrong in the person, but I think it was Meek Mill where he said, if you're the richest person in the room, you need to find a new room. All right. Like in that setting, if I'm the richest person in my room, I'm going to be happy about it. But if I'm Meek Mill and I'm like, hey, you know what? I need to surround myself with borderline billionaires so I can figure out how to get there. So if you want to be a broadcaster, if you want to be a writer, a announcer, a dancer, surround yourself with the people that are going to keep you motivated to continue to do it, especially when you can find somebody who you can build off of and who challenges you to challenge yourself. That is where I think people strive the most, is when they're in situations like that. So, like-minded individuals.
That's like-minded individuals, and individuals that's going to motivate you.
Yes.
Individuals that's already there. We have to do it, and don't feel so, a lot of people may feel like beneath, and I don't even like to use that word, but don't look at yourself that way. You know what I mean? Like they started out somewhere as well. So, and that real leaders will teach you how to lead, will teach you how to get there, so.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's what I want to understand. A real leader will get you where you need to be.
Absolutely. Yeah. And what you were saying about, the feeling as if you were less than or not equal enough and not good enough. I was somebody who procrastinated coaching football for a long time. It was always, oh man, it would be cool if, it would be so much fun if I could coach football. Oh, coaching football would be a dream come true. And one day, and it was really when Sean McVay became the head coach of the Rams, I'm like, this dude is like 6 months older than me, and he's the head coach of an NFL team. And I'm over here wishing and wanting to, and dreaming about coaching a youth team. Like, okay, go coach a youth team. And so that's how I started. I started coaching with the Boulder Bears. And then the following year I was at Boulder High. And then from there, I was with Mountain Range in the spring. And now I'm coordinating a defense for Littleton High School on varsity. And it's just one of those things that the only thing that changed, right? I learned along the way, but the only thing about me that really changed was I stopped wishing and wanting, and I actually just started going for it.
Yeah.
And it's the same thing with photography. Photographers are their worst critics, just like any other artist.
Mm-hmm.
They're their worst critics. Photography pages, if you notice, they're if you ever look through one, the people who are liking the pictures the most and are really like commenting and stuff are other photographers. So a lot of the times when these content creators are making their pages, they're almost marketing to other content creators. And so you kind of can get lost in the competition, because there's not
Right.
really a competition, but you make one up in your mind. And so then it turns into, I'm not good enough, which is like the weddings thing. Like I used to tell people, nope, there's no way I'll ever shoot a wedding. And in my mind, it was because I am not a good enough photographer to be out here shooting a wedding. And I feel like that is something so important to someone that I don't want to be the person who messes it up, because those pictures are too important, especially to the bride and the bride's mother.
Yeah.
Like those are the two people, and I'd say the mother of the groom as well. Those are the three most important people when it comes to those pictures, when it comes to those memories. And I've always felt like I'm not good enough for this. And then I've had people who are, you know, certified in that genre of photography say, hey man, you can do this. Like if you're a candid photographer, you're already halfway there.
Right,
All you have to do is just surround yourself with somebody who knows what they're doing.
Absolutely.
And learn the technical aspects and then apply what you already know to it. But there's no reason why that photographer is better than you, other than the fact that they just went for it and they kept going. Absolutely. Whereas if you're saying, oh man, I'm not good enough, you know, like I'm beneath that, you are automatically setting yourself up for that failure.
Absolutely. That's 100%. And you won't know until you do it, you know? And we always say that what if would drive you crazy. What if I would have did it? What if I would have did it? You know, you don't know because you didn't do it. So just do it. Just do it.
Right.
Definitely. I enjoyed our conversation, Wes. I really did. I appreciate you sharing that with, you know, sharing your journey with us, sharing your passion with us. Is there anything else you would like to put out there in the universe that we did not discuss?
I mean, other than, you know, go for it, you know, be who you are and live your life to the fullest. I mean, 100% effort, 100% of the time, and whatever it is that you truly enjoy. I mean, if there's anything that I could ever give out, you know, it'd be something like that. Other than that, I mean, I think we might have touched up on everything.
I appreciate it. I really do. And don't be hard on that little baby boy when he gets old enough to play football.
That's funny that you mentioned that, because we're actually they're getting ready to set up the baby shower, and they're going through all that, and we're being asked about themes. And one thing that I said is I really don't I don't have a theme in mind. Like I don't know if I want to do like slap cars around the room or sports stuff, because you know that's all my image. That's not going to be his image. I don't know what his is. So one thing that I was actually mentioning that I do want to put up around the walls are like scenery pictures, you know, just nice pictures of mountains or waterfalls or jungles or whatever, something to kind of pique the interest, but let the mind wander as well, rather than you know, just narrowing it in a certain direction.
A football, boom, a car, let their mind go wherever they decide to say that mountain was taking them, whatever they were climbing or driving by it, you know. So
absolutely, because he's gonna see football with me. I mean, he's gonna see a lot of football. I don't need to throw it in his walls. I remember my mom did something like that. Just, you know, I have a son. Let me, you know, boy his room up a little bit, and there's this picture of John Elway on my wall when I was a kid. I wasn't a Broncos fan. And I honestly wasn't even an Elway fan, but I remember looking at that picture like, I don't know why this picture is up here. Like, I don't like it, but I'm not going to take it down because my mom put it up there because she, you know, was doing something nice. But in my head, every time I look at this picture, I'm like, I don't like this picture. I don't care. And so that's one thing I don't want to do is say, you're going to look at these cars because I like cars, so you like cars. So, you know, the one thing that I think I need to not do is try not to be too hard on myself, to not be so hard on him. Because that's been my biggest fear. Getting ready to be a dad is being one of those dads. It's a little overbearing.
Yeah, don't. I don't think you will though. And everything just comes so natural. So
yeah.
Hey, I'm pretty sure he'll be a great kid. You seem like a great guy.
Oh, well, thank you. I
appreciate you taking the time out with us today, Wes. Again, you know, just continue to be you, continue to be great, and love on that little boy as soon as he get here in November.
Absolutely. No doubt, no doubt. Thank you so much for
You're
having
more
me
than
on.
welcome. Thank you so much for joining us, and you have a great day today.
You as
And
well.
a safe Labor Day, everybody. Make
Oh,
sure
yes.
y'all, you know, stay hydrated, have fun, be with family, whatever it is you do, but always be kind and be ready for the work week. Be productive. Go back Tuesday. Make sure y'all make it on Tuesday. As we always say on Let's Sip and Talk with Freema, peace and love.